Hi everybody, this is Alex Deploy from Expert Forex, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the concepts of how to use templates and profiles when using MT4. I'm going to be using the Barry Thornton method of determining the relative strength of currencies. So at the same time you'll be learning a little bit more about that. So I'm going to be starting with the default profile, and how you get to the default profile is that over here you have an icon for profiles. You click on that and then just select default. I have deleted all the charts that were on the default profile, so we have a blank starting point. Now I'm going to start with the Aussie dollar, and I'm going to be loading charts that of currencies relative to the Aussie dollar so that we can have a whole lot of charts on our screen that are just relative to the Aussie dollar. So I'm going to start here, and it says new chart, and I'm going to go down, and there's the first Aussie dollar chart we get to. Now the format, that's the standard format that MetaTrader opens charts in, and I'm going to change that because I don't like that presentation. So I'm going to go to profiles. I'm going to change it to black and white. I'm going to make my my bear candles red and my bull candles blue. I'm going to change the grid to a softer grid, which will most probably be about that one, Gainsborough. Then I'll change the style of the chart to candles and increase the size. And there we have a nice candle chart. Then I'm going to add a couple of indicators to this chart just to help us view what is happening on the chart. And I'm going to start with a channel, a standard deviation channel, and I'm going to start over here and down we go, and I'm going to take it right to the end, to the last candle. So I'm starting with the first candle on my chart to the last. Now my screen is at a particular size. This gives me a view from the 24th of February to around about the 9th or 10th of March. So it's about a 2-week view, and all I'm interested in is the slope of this channel. What the slope is telling me is that the Aussie dollar is depreciating against the US dollar over a 2-week period. I'm going to add another one of these channels, and we go and take the standard deviation, and I'm going to go roughly a third of the way in and draw another set, because I want to find out what the most recent trend is. And to help with that, I'm going to actually change the color of that set, and that will become let's make that a nice reddish color. Okay, so what this is now telling me is that over the last 2 weeks the Aussie has depreciated against the US dollar, and had over the last week or so, the last 5 days or so, it has actually even depreciated more. So I've got a bit of a longish term and a short term view of the strength of the Aussie dollar compared to the US dollar. Now I'm going to add another indicator which you don't really need at this stage, but I'm going to add it. It's the Relative Strength Index indicator, the RSI, and I'm going to go for a period of 4. It's already on dark slate, so that's pretty good. The levels, I'm going to add a level of 50, and I'm going to make that 25, and that will become 75. Then the levels, I'm going to make a solid thin line for the levels, and let's see what that looks like when I put it on the screen. Oh no, that looks great. Okay, so that's let's say the standard. Then I'm going to increase it, and that's the way I'd like to see these charts presented when I look at them. So the green lines are the 2-week views, and the red lines are the shorter term views, and the RSI basically gives you an indication of overbought and oversold environments at this stage. Okay, so now I don't want to do this with every single chart that I open, so I'm going to save this as a template. Now to do that, you right click on your mouse, you go to templates, and you then save the template. And you can now give it any name you want, and I'm going to call this Relative Strength my relative strength template, and I'm going to save this. So now when I open any other charts relating to the Aussie, I can just load that particular template. So we've got the Aussie USD. So let's go and open another one. We've got the Aussie Yen. Now it's a lot faster. I can just load the relative strength on, and I've already got the lines that I want. Let's go and load another one. Aussie, that we're looking for Aussie. So Aussie CAD is good. Template, and we go for relative strength. Aussie New Zealand, template, and relative strength. Then I am going to do the next Aussie franc. Aussie New Zealand, Euro Oz, Pound Oz, and we put the template on there. See if there's anything else, just make 100% sure. Yeah, okay, so that's good enough for now. And what I'll then do is sort this into a meaningful way. So we'll tile the windows. Okay, so now we have 7 charts of the Aussie, and they all reflect certain aspects of the Aussie. And you'll see that in certain cases the Aussie is the reference currency, and in some cases it's the base currency. Now when it's the base currency, if it's going down, it is weakening. If it's going up, it is strengthening. If it is the reference currency, then it is the opposite of that. So when it's going up, it's actually weakening, and when it's coming down, it's actually strengthening. Okay, now that we've got all the charts ready, the next step is to actually code them in such a way so that it is easy to recognize the strength of a particular currency. Now, where the Oz is depreciating, in this case it's going down, I'm going to color the charts. I'll use that misty rose color. So I'm going to color that. That is for the decreasing Aussie, or depreciating Aussie, and we've got the same situation here. I'll just use the same color, and we've got a downward movement here, so we have the same color. And in this case, this is an upward movement, but because the Oz is the second currency, in other words, the pound is appreciating against the Aussie, it means the Aussie is depreciating. I'm going to this is a depreciating Aussie, and that also has that color. Now we have the Oz against the franc, which is actually appreciating. The lines are going up, and I can give it a different color to that. I'm going to give it this light cayenne, and this one is the euro is depreciating against the Aussie. So in other words, the Aussie is appreciating, and I will give that the bluish cayenne. Alright, and then the Aussie is appreciating against the New Zealand dollar, and remember, we're just looking at the red lines for this type of analysis. Okay, so very quickly we now know that the Aussie is strengthening against the franc, the euro, and the New Zealand dollar, but depreciating against the other currencies, which is the pound, the Canadian dollar, the yen, and the US dollar. Immediately, not only have we learnt a little bit about the Oz, but we've also learnt about the other currencies. So what we need to do is do this for every single other currency that there is. This is the Oz currency. We'll now go and do it for the various other currencies. Now, this does take a while to do. I am doing it the long way, and I'm doing it the long way on purpose to show you how it's done so that you can do it yourself. Now the next step here is to save this as a profile. So I'm going to do that. I'll click on profiles. I can also right click on my mouse and save profile. So this profile is the relative strength. I'm just going to shorten it. Relative strength AUD. So that's the profile. Now I'm saving this. Now whatever I've done now, I do not have to repeat again. All I need to do is pull this profile up, and I'll see exactly what I have now. So the templates have saved the individual charts, and the profile has been saved. I'm just going to illustrate that. I'm going to go to another profile, which is the British pound profile. That's still in its original format. And now I'm going to go back to the Aussie profile, and there it is. Fantastic way to save charts so that you don't have to repeatedly update them or change them in any way. The only changes we need to make from now on is possibly change the colors of these charts as we go along. And if you want to see more detail of a particular chart, you can just open it up in total. So although it's pretty neutral in the short term, the Aussie has depreciated against the yen. Gives you an idea of what's going on in the market. Right, so we'll move. I'll be doing the same thing for most of the other currencies, and then we'll have a look at it at the end of this video. I'm not going to bore you by actually doing them in front of you. I'll pause the video, do them, and we can have a look at the results. In order to do the other profiles, what I do is I go back to my default profile, and I actually delete all the charts that are in the default profile because I don't need them anymore, and I then restart another currency. And for instance, what we'll do is I must probably start the pound. I can load all the pound currencies in here and then do the templates and coloring, and then move on to another currency. Right, I've now completed all 7 of the relative strength sets of charts, and immediately you can see a couple of things. The USD is currently the strongest currency in the market. It is strong compared to all of its other trading partners. The New Zealand dollar is, however, on the opposite side. It is the weakest currency. It is weak against all its current partners. And remember, this is only relative to the last week or so. It's not the overall situation. And also, the rest are pretty much in between. The yen is pretty strong except to the US dollar. So the yen is the second strongest currency around, and we can flip through the whole lot like that. The franc, I think, is the second weakest. It's only beating the New Zealand dollar, and the euro is a bit of most probably more weak than strong, as you can see. And let's have one quick look at the Aussie dollar again, which was also a little bit more weak than strong. But this is a way of very quickly looking at the market. I'm not going to look at the individual charts in more detail. There's a lot to be seen in the individual charts, especially if we start looking at the longer term and the shorter term trends at the same time. But this is to give you an idea of how you use templates and how you use profiles to build up sets of charts that will allow you to overview the market in a very quick time. As you saw earlier, we overviewed the whole market virtually in a minute. Immediately could tell that the US dollar was the strongest currency and the New Zealand dollar was the weakest currency, and one can then use these charts for further analysis, which we'll do later on in the Barry Thornton course. There are alternatives to using this method that are a lot quicker, but I found that using the physical charts and looking at the physical charts helps tremendously compared to the shortcut methods. And I'll show you two of the shortcut methods quickly. An alternative method can be found on the Money Making Forex Tools. It's a free tool that you can access, and they are under day trading tools, and you can see there's a whole lot of tools: economic announcements, relative strength of currencies, which we'll look at now, news, volatility correlation, daily market reviews, and broker comparisons. So we'll go for the relative strength of currencies, which is exactly what's already on the screen. It's basically you should always select the strongest currency against the weakest currency, and here we have the actual tool that's available, and you can basically compare all the currencies over various periods. Now what we're looking at here is the period that we've just looked at, so I'm going to actually color in all the currencies, and it will collect data on all the currencies for us, and we should see the same results, and I'll be disappointed if we don't. And this here you can clearly see that the US dollar, which is that little red line, is definitely the strongest currency in the market at the moment. It's appreciated 3% over the last 2 weeks, and we have this blue line at the bottom here, which is the euro, which has depreciated almost 3% over the last 2 weeks. So we should actually, if we now go to the charts, we should see the euro USD chart plummeting down, and let's actually have a look at that. USD euro, I'm going to put that on the 4-hour chart. Oh, there we are. There you see this plummeting down because both the US dollars has strengthened and the euro has weakened, and you have this tremendous trend that develops when you're trading the weakest currency against the strongest currency. Just set that back to 1 hour. So the relative strength of currency is pretty important. What's nice about this is you can change it. Let's change it to a shorter period, and that might bring the New Zealand dollar out as the weakest currency. Remember where you can find this. It is on the Money Making Forex Tools. It's under Day Trading Tools. It's under the Day Trading Tools overview, and you can find a whole lot of tools there, and this is the Relative Strength of Currency tool. Another tool there. So now we're finding the US dollar showing its strength and the New Zealand dollar showing its weakness, as we've just analyzed on the charts. There's also a tool supplied by FX Street, which shows the relative strength of currencies over various periods, and you could have a look at that on the heat map. So there are two alternative ways of finding the relative strength of currencies. This is probably the quicker way. In the long run, when you start using the charts, you'll find them a lot more meaningful, and I would recommend that. But certainly these ones are good starters because they basically have given the same answers as what we have found. So from me, Alex Deploy, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you've found it interesting. Cheerio.